indicted, possibly facing prison, you don't want to give up. You could, I'm not saying not to go to trial. If you and your attorney feel that the odds are in your favor, go to trial. The only one thing that I request is that you don't want to aggravate the court because you may have to go back to the court for leniency at a later point in time. Today, I'm going through artificial intelligence and its impact really on all businesses. But initially, I'm going to talk about healthcare or providers, and it doesn't matter if you're the CEO, CFO of a hospital system, if you're life sciences, if you are in research, if you are importing pharmaceuticals from outside the country, durable medical equipment. It's so important to understand that the Department of Justice is using artificial intelligence with their data analytics, and AI runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, doesn't want to raise, doesn't take time for a sick leave, doesn't take weekends off. And different AI programs can have different functions, but when it's possible for them to actually coordinate, I don't know how they do it, so that by the time you learn about the FBI has been asking questions, their case is mostly complete. And a lot of it is, following the laws, which are changing somewhat frequently, and documentation. You have to maintain clear documentation supporting all clinical and billing decisions. Saying that you use artificial intelligence to bill, use a billing company, no. I mean, if you are the owner of the hospital, the system, whatever the business is, or you're just a practitioner, the buck stops, unfortunately, with your desk. And these recent days, nobody takes the blame in Washington. But if you're a sole practitioner or if you're the sole CEO of a larger company or largest company, you can have a problem. And so there's this health risk management, and I'll open that over here. And this is under clinicians.com. You could find this particular issue. But the evolution of the False Claims Act, they review misuse of opioids, leading to more fraud investigations, and understanding that there are delineations. There are practitioners who are trained in pain management, and there are practitioners that are trained in family practice or internal medicine. It's the family practice practitioners that are getting, they are catching the eye of the Department of Justice more so than pain management doctors. Artificial intelligence is becoming a new threat. Well, the data security, I think that time has already come and gone. Telehealth requires scrutiny and standard of care. Telehealth, the government recently granted an additional 12 months ending in December 2026, but you need to show that you have eyes on your patient. Now, I'm not sure in this conversation whether having a virtual telehealth meeting online where you see your patient or they have to come into the office. That part I'm not familiar with, but you just can't be depending on telehealth with no documentation and patient interaction. And so I'm going to go back here now. The DOJ is also there an equal opportunity indicter, and they're targeting not just, while healthcare is the number one target, they're looking at tax fraud. So I have a couple of cases of tax fraud here. And don't just think that tax fraud is going to be a false claim act. You can wind up going to prison for that. All right. This is just a high end car dealership. Here's another one, a former San Diego securities attorney. And we have here, he was sentenced for tax evasion. I mean, and these, I don't want to say anyone should know better, but, everyone does a little bit of stuff with their taxes, if you will. But you don't want to stand out and have this artificial intelligence find you. COVID-19, these are still coming up. We're in the year 2026. 2019 is when COVID first started. Here we have 3 were sentenced for roles in COVID PPP loans due to COVID-19. And so they had to go, not only do they go to prison, but they also have likely restitution, making false claims act during bankruptcy. You wouldn't think this would be, at least wouldn't think it's a big deal, but sentenced for making false claims, declarations in a bankruptcy proceeding. I don't, at least from where I stand in 2006, I had a felony conviction. I was a basket case. I was just not doing myself any good, and I definitely wasn't a help to my legal team, which was a very good legal team. But there's no way that I would go anywhere near, I had to declare bankruptcy at one point, but I wasn't going to do something that would jeopardize that. And now we have new federal white collar prosecutors that are out of the White House are targeting Social Security and other government funds. So everything comes down to being that target, and the only way you can get around that is just great documentation. And if you're a larger company, having internal policies so that there are third parties within your company that review your activities either quarterly or less frequently, there's a chance for a pardon. The Trump pardons have been an explosive, event, but In granting pardons, there's a radio station, and I joke around saying WIIFM, WIIFM, and it's a radio station that certain people listen to, and that stands for "What's in it for me." Trump pardons, they need wipe out nearly $2 billion in victim repayment and tax recovery for Medicare and tax fraud. And here is the Trump, wipes out nearly 2 billion in victim repayments. Okay, that we all know that once you have restitution, your payments probably are not going to get anywhere near this $2 billion, but it's the idea. And then cutting to the chase, the pardon industry offers rich offenders a pathway to Trump. And this is in the New York Times. I can open it up here. We'll see. I didn't open it up on another thing, but there we go. And so you don't want to be able to have this be a problem for you. In closing, I'd like to say that if you are convicted, whether it's trial or plea, it is still possible that your end is not already a done deal yet. It's possible for you to lessen your sentence. How to do that, in addition to what your attorney is doing, is preparation for your pre-sentence interview. It's the most important meeting of your life. Call me today to schedule, a consult with me. But the Department of Justice has released to the World Wide Web your biography. It is in the form of your indictment, and you probably don't look that great or sound that great. And the only way you can do that is beginning to prepare for the interview. Part of that preparation is beginning to develop an autobiographical narrative, a background story, who you are, the good parts, the bad parts. If it starts when you were a kid and growing up, or if it's recent, whatever you feel goes into that. And you should probably have someone with you who specializes in drafting these background stories, narratives, call it what you want, but it humanizes you to the probation officer. It hopefully gets embedded within your pre-sentence report. And then you're just think about it. The probation officers there see a lot of people. They are overworked, underpaid, don't have any time. So if someone, and there's not going to be many, that approach the pre-sentence interview by providing the officer with everything they need a week or less, a week, 5 to 7 days before the meeting, so that they have a chance to read through who you are and then fill out their pre-sentence interview worksheet for the pre-sentence report. Then when they meet you, they can get to know who you are personally. They can ask any remaining questions that they have. They're not under the gun to draw out all that information at that time. But you want an in-person pre-sentence interview if you can. I'm a licensed physician. I have firsthand experience navigating a felony conviction that I got in 2006, but I got my medical license reinstated thereafter. And incarceration within the Federal Bureau of Prisons. My expertise includes sentencing mitigation, pre-sentence interview preparation, practical guidelines on life inside the BOP. If there's medical concerns during incarceration, what do you do? Preparation for early release to home confinement really starts before you get to the pre-sentence interview. I'm available to provide guidance and support. I encourage you to give me a call or someone who does what I do. Specifically, in summary, physician-assisted preparation, your life story provided to your officer before you get to the interview. If you have a medical needs, your entire medical record needs to be provided at that time, organized, spell check, in order, so that now that turns that pre-sentence report into a medical referral, noting the caveat is that even if you do everything right, nobody can promise what the judge or the Bureau of Prisons will do once you hear from you. And then once you're in good sentencing, the judge is going to ask you in some fashion if you have anything to say. And this is your chance to share your story. I hope you found this helpful. I'm grateful for you taking the time to listen. And I hope you have a good, safe day.